Hey guys, we're here live in the shop and kind of scheduled this one a couple days out, and I posted over on Facebook, Instagram, and kind of the YouTube announcement thing that you could do for going live again. I don't think we've done this in a couple weeks. It's been a little while, so just wanted to tying some shoes right now, so sorry. But yeah, so we're going live tonight because why not? And we hopefully are getting out of this government issue, as we've been calling it. I think I've seen a lot of videos deleted, demonetized, and removed from social media due to certain subject matters, and so that's kind of why we're not going to talk about that, but we are going to talk about it. But anyway, so it looks like we've got 4 people, so that's cool. But let's just do a quick update around the shop. So we've got the SS back in its normal spot, and back over here the Corvette is back on the lift end. Nothing new here. We are in the middle of filming new episodes for the channel on Corvette. The SS, we've pretty much finished up all of the videos. I think we still have maybe 1 or 2 more. And so we've had a lot of SS content the last, I think, 5 or 6. Hey, Dan. Yeah, the SS, we fixed it. I had a really long video coming out. Probably it'll be next Wednesday. And it was a simple fix. We'll just say it like that. I don't want to give away too much, but thank you, Angelo. Angelo, you've got the E-Force on your Corvette, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, Dan, we've, I had a lot of, it was a weird fix. Like, the SS, we've talked about in the past couple of videos, like, I thought it was transmission related. I thought it was drive shaft related. I even thought it was torque converter related. And it ended up being something really stupid, and it was kind of the hardest issues I've had to diagnose on a modern car in a real long time. Basically, the check engine light, there were no check engine lights. I was not getting any codes, so it was very hard to narrow down what it was. And then, you guys will see it. It's at the end of the video. I don't want to give it away too much, but just a lot of starting out one end of the car. And no, it wasn't a gas cap. Actually, I have not had that issue with the SS. The Corvette back behind me, that actually would throw codes for that. But I haven't had a code on that car in probably like 10 years, actually. I actually had a code come up on the Power Tour, and I replaced it. And I think you can disable that particular code in HP tuners, because it's just a common thing that I think the ECM would read and be like, oh, your gas can's open, but give you a check engine light. So, but yeah, I replaced the gas cap once on the Corvette, and I think either GM got rid of that particular code, or HP, we had it when I had it tuned, they disabled that particular code. I don't remember. It's something like gas emission recirculate, or something stupid like that. But anyway, so happen all the time. I had my G8 so I bought my G8 in 2010. I had it until we got the SS behind us, or in front of us. And I had a G8 before I had the SS, and I ended up not having any issues with that car. And that car had a headers, intake, Corsa catback, and SLP long tube headers, and it had a real bad transmission tune on it. I never really found out who tuned it, because when I bought the G8, it was already modified. It was already tuned, and I think the only thing we really did on that G8 was the brakes. And actually, kind of the good thing about recycling parts is the wheels and brakes and all that actually were on my G8. So when I bought this car, I could have already modified it, you know, when I bought it. Plus the 14s didn't come with the rear Brembos. So yeah, I was already a step ahead because I had that stuff for the G8. But um, I've had some questions recently, you know, on the channel about the C7 stuff. That wasn't a planned project. You know, a buddy of mine needed, you know, he bought a full set of Corvette C7 stuff. And as you guys saw in the video on Wednesday, the C7 brakes do not fit. I think if you machine the caliper and get some spacers, you might be able to get that working. But if you've got a 15 or newer SS, it's not worth doing a C7 brake upgrade. I did see someone recently buy V3, so CTS V3 brake setup. I think the front calipers are the same as the Corvette and the V2, but I think the rears, there was like a thread over on the Pontiac G8 group, and I think they had, someone was trying to get those brakes to work, but I think they had the same issue with the C7. The caliper size is about the same, the rotor sits the same, but it's just the offset's wrong. So, you know, the caliper sat one way or the other in the wrong direction. So, but what else we got going on? What we were just talking about, the state of North Carolina is still under lockdown. We've opened up some businesses. I think it's like essential businesses are open, but they're starting to do restaurants and stuff like that. But it's only like 50% of capacity. And so we're starting to get back to normal. But I did see, I think it was Rockingham Dragway. If you got your brand new SS. Yeah, Steve, I actually did buy my SS brand new. I think I shared last week, or not last week, last live video. I think that was 2 weeks ago on a Saturday. Long story short was my neighbor hit my G8, caused like $5,000 or $6,000 worth of damage to it. I got the car back from the body shop. It was pulling one way to the right or left. I don't remember. The Chevrolet couldn't get it aligned, so I went in for an alignment. I came home in the SS. You know, just kind of how my G8 became an SS. I was looking at these cars, the SS, but all right, hold on. So I was actually looking at these cars. The SS only has like 18,000 miles on it. I haven't been driving it a lot. But yeah, like I was saying, I was looking at the SS when they first came out back in 2014. I bought my car in March of 2014. So I've had it for just over 6 years. And I've been working from home for a few of those years, so I don't drive a lot anyway. And then if I do drive, I have my pickup truck, so that's pretty much my daily driver. So now that we have it fixed, you guys will see the video next week, like we were just saying. 17. Yeah, if it's your only car, you know, that kind of happens. I've got 3 cars myself. I mean, the Corvette is old. The truck is old. They're both 2005. So, you know, yeah. And the funniest thing is the car I drive the most, my truck is the one that has the most miles on it. I think I have 250,000 miles on it, something like that. I bought it. Man, so I bought the SS I've had for 6 years. I think I bought the truck 8 years ago. I bought it with like 190,000 miles on it. So that vehicle does get driven. But yeah, so long story short, yeah, like we were just saying, you know, I bought the SS new. It's been modified. I've been driving it. So we put the supercharger on. I think I was looking it up. It was 3 years ago, and we've put roughly 10,000 miles on the blower LSA setup in that time, and I haven't had any issues with it up until this video that's coming up next week. And I've kind of been not complaining, but we've talked about it on the last few live videos. So for the last like 3 or 4 weeks, is the only issue I've ever had with the car. Just something stupid, and you guys will see that next week. But actually, not even a week. Like 4 days from now on next Wednesday. But yeah, if you guys have any other questions, feel free to comment. I'll answer them as I can. But yeah, so the SS videos, we got one or two more, probably two more, I think. Actually, yeah, there'll be two more SS videos. And then, like I said, in the beginning of the stream, the Corvette is on the lift, kind of its permanent resting spot. But yeah, so we're just starting filming on that, and so that car will be back. And it's not been anything performance-wise, if that makes sense. I mean, there's modifications and repairs and stuff, but nothing like engine, nothing blower. That stuff's all done. Now that we've got it tuned and running properly, that car is just kind of receiving upgrades. So that's kind of what's coming up. Other than that, what else is going on? The shop is a mess because, like I said, we've been filming and buying a lot of stuff online and not shopping, if that makes, not like going to the grocery store, but like having stuff delivered and stuff like that. So that's kind of how we've been going through this lockdown. How have you guys been? Are you guys okay? Is everyone healthy? Is job market? I mean, a lot of crazy stuff's going on. I know there's like 30 million unemployed people, and it's just crazy how 2 months can change the world, as they say. So, but thankfully, we've been okay in regards to all that stuff. I do have some friends' parents that caught the global issue. They have recovered, thankfully. Um, but yeah, that stuff's just depressing. It's not car related, it's not automotive related, and it impacts like absolutely everything you're doing, like work, meeting people or not meeting people, car events, racing. I was just gonna say, I had some friends go drag racing at Rockingham Dragway in South Carolina. I think that's in South, or is it North Carolina? No, I'm thinking Darlington. I'm sorry, guys. Darlington's in South Carolina. I think they were at Rockingham. I'm not sure what track they were at. They didn't post, but yeah. So some tracks are opening back up. Oh, cool. Yeah, Angelo, you will have some pretty good luck at Speed Inc. I haven't. I mean, I haven't lived in Chicago since. Oh, you're retired? Well, hey, you're everyone's getting the taste of the retired life, being stuck at home. But you should have no issue with Speed Inc. I mean, they've been in the LS world since, I mean, basically the C5 Corvette came out, and that was in 1997. I've heard of them forever, and I ran into them at Byron Dragway. God, it must have been almost 20 years ago, because I used to live in the Chicago area, and we would go to Byron a lot. There's what, 3 or 4 drags. There's Route 66. There's Great Lakes Dragway, Byron. I think there's a fourth one, Cordova, but that's like 3 hours from Chicago. So anyway, southern Wisconsin, northern Illinois has a lot of drag strips, and I miss that. And they're all quarter mile. Coming down here in the south, living in the south, it's a ton of 1/8 mile tracks around here. Shelby, Shady Side, Mooresville Dragway. You guys have seen plenty of videos from there. What else is 1/8 mile? North Wilkesboro, they're pretty good, well known. Galat, that's over near the research, Raleigh area. And there's a lot of just like little, like a lot of small little 1/8 mile tracks, and I don't mind 1/8 mile tracks. Route 41. Yeah, I have been there. Wow. I went to a Grand Prix meet, like a W body meet. It had to have been, man, I've been down here for 13, 14 years. It had been almost 15 plus years ago when I went to the Route 41 meet. But anyway, that's a long time ago. But yeah, so like I was saying, a lot of 1/8 mile tracks down here, and I like 1/8 mile for tuning and stuff, and testing. But I'm kind of a quarter mile guy at heart, and just because like I always had real crappy cars when I lived up north. Like I had Berettas, Grand Ams. I had a Cavalier for a while. Those were all the first cars that I bought, and that's what I drag raced because I drag raced what I had, and I didn't get the nice cars until I moved down here. So that's kind of a shame because I would have liked having those better cars up north. But anyway, um, yeah. So like I said, a lot of racing places might start opening up down here. Um, ZMAX will probably not open at all this year, just due to the fact that ZMAX Dragway is currently a testing site for the national global issue that we've been talking about. And I doubt they're going to shut down that testing site for drag racing or autocrossing. I'm friends with several people that autocross at ZMAX. It's a group called CCRSCCA, and those guys have basically all been canceled. Yeah, me too. I wanted the Corvette to hit a 1099. I know this sounds horrible because like I think the fastest with the old setup was an 11.7 at 125, something like that, and the SS has been 11.4 at 124. So, and there's way more differences. Like the SS behind us is just an LSA 6L80 stock trans, ZL1 torque converter, and a set of drag radials. That's headers and an intake, but that's kind of the faster car. Oops, sorry guys, I kicked over the table. So the SS is the faster car, and I don't think the Corvette's been drag racing in. Sorry guys, there's a glare. I'm trying to. A little better, maybe. Anyway, yeah. So the Corvette hasn't been racing in almost 2 seasons. That's kind of crazy. But my goal is to get that car racing this year. We've got a whole new setup. We've got tires, we got drag radials, we got the 15-inch conversion. I still need to finish that. Drag slicks, new the new motor setup, not motor setup, but ported blower. None of that stuff was ever tested since we've built the car like a year and a half ago. So, but let's see what else we got. Did I miss any? All right. Just reading the comments. Steve, Dan. Okay. All right. And what else was the news? Oh, yeah. Half mile racing. I almost think half mile racing on the East Coast is dead. It sounds bad, but the one company that did it, like all up and down the Eastern Seaboard, basically lost their racing venue. Well, they lost 2 racing venues. They lost Ocala Airstrip in Florida, so they're not racing anymore. That private facility got bought out by someone, and they're not letting people race on their airstrip. And then there was a deal with South Georgia Motorsports Park to pave that quarter-mile track to a half-mile. Whether it was adding to the end, adding to the beginning, I'm not sure. Because if you look at South Georgia Motorsports Park, it's right next to a road, and it's like angled right towards the road. So I don't know how they would have changed that venue to add that much more distance, to essentially double the track. So, but yeah, so half mile racing, unless I go Midwest or Texas or something like that, there's nothing local. Yeah. Actually, Angelo, there's a company. What the hell is it? No lift shift. No, that's the name of a gear. Shift Sector, I believe, is this company. They go down to Rantoul. I have friends in Rantoul. Rantoul, Illinois used to be a U.S. Air Force Base. My friend's dad worked there for 20 some years and retired. The Air Force is gone, but the runway is still there. And I believe Shift Sector races that Rantoul still. There also might be one in Indianapolis, something like that. So not far from you, within a couple hours, you probably have a racing venue. For down here in the Southeast, there's essentially nothing. So, but yeah, it's something I've been to. I've actually been to twice. I just didn't have a car running at the time. And hey, Jacob, how's it going? But yeah, like I said, I've been to Want to Go Fast twice, and um, my car wasn't done the one time, and the second time I just spectated, and it's a cool thing to witness and all kinds of horsepower. So even if you don't race, just go. I think it's like $10 to get in. Yeah, Shift Sector. Just Google it. Just type in half mile racing, like Midwest half mile racing. You should find something, and those companies are all basically the same rules. It's I think they're all about the same. Like they don't really require safety equipment, but you should have safety equipment. It all kind of just depends on what each individual company is doing. So, but let's see. All right. Hey Jacob, welcome to the channel. Do you have any questions? If you have anything, we're just kind of chatting. But yeah, let me turn off the chat. Sorry guys. All right. So yeah, so Angelo, yeah, like I was saying, Shift Sector, Midwest half mile racing. Just Google it. You should find what you need. Uh, yeah, like I was saying, all of the opportunities down here in the Southeast are pretty much gone. The real one regret I have is when I first moved down here back in 2007. They actually did mile racing. It was the East Coast Timing Association, and there was an old World War II Air Force base or Army, whatever it was, Army Air Force base. Uh, Hot Rod Magazine would come down here and they would do a half mile runway, um, land speed racing event, and like that event went on for like a couple more years, like 2008, 2009, and then they just stopped. I think they sold the runway to a private security firm, and they've been using it for uh, training. We'll just call it like that. So they shut down that event. I think they moved to Ohio for a while, and that might be the last of it. I know land speed racing, like half like paved. There's only a few venues. There's Texas Mile. There was the venue in Ohio at it was a DHL. Was it DHL? Yeah, DHL. They're gone. Um, Maxton. It was in Maxton, North Carolina, at I think Lawrence Air Force Base or something like that. Something like that. But anyway, yeah. So, and I think there's one in Maine, like way up there in the Northeast, but not many of those land speed racing events. And there's a big difference between like Bonneville and paved. Obviously, Bonneville isn't paved, so. But yeah, that's always something that's interested me. I have a friend that lives in Salt Lake City now, so I might try to arrange a visit out there at the same time as Speed Week. Even if they're not running, I just kind of want to go see the Salt Flats and see all that, because I think you can just drive your car out on there and you park and then you go through the open pits. And I don't know what registration for visitor would be, but probably not that expensive. So, because I think even the half mile was only like $5 or $10 a person, and they let you come in and bring your own food and stuff. So I imagine Bonneville Salt Flats would be like the same thing. So, but me ever taking one of my own personal cars to Bonneville, that isn't going to happen, just due to the fact that it's a 2-day drive from North Carolina, from the East Coast to Utah. So that that won't happen. Plus, I've got plenty of other stuff to do this part of the country that I have to go participate in. But anyway, if you guys have any questions, feel free to pop in. I'm not. We're just kind of chatting about whatever tonight, so I don't have any particular agenda to go through. We kind of covered, the SS is wrapping up. We've got maybe 1 or 2 videos on that. We've got a whole bunch of Corvette stuff coming up. And then eventually I will be going back to the SS. I want to finish a couple modifications we started like a year ago. Then the Corvette build started, and so the whole SS just got pushed aside. Unfortunately, we had a dead battery, dead tire pressure sensors, rough idling, which we've been talking about for like 3 of these live streams. That has all been fixed. And if you guys are just tuning in now, that'll be this following video next Wednesday. So, but other than that, what else is going on? Fuse box built up. Yeah. Hey, Jake, you know what? Sorry, Jacob, I don't know what you prefer to go by. Um, don't worry about people. Do what you're going to do. And I am in full agreement with you. That file I downloaded that same file. I think it was a PSP file or something. I basically just used Microsoft Paint, or I've got a Paint Shop Pro editor thing. I saved it as the format that they wanted. I kind of cleared and deleted cells and whatnot, added my information, and I paid like you $28 or whatever it was, and wasn't getting charged. I wouldn't be charging people $90 or whatever the cost was when it's a $30 item, and that might literally take you 5 minutes to create. Like that doesn't make sense to me. But I'm not here to dog people or whatnot, but I'm like you, a DIY person, and I've probably angered people with just sharing information. Like I saw a thread about recently in the SS groups. Yeah, $30 versus 100. Say it was 100. I don't know what the current rates are, but yeah, that I'm like you. I'm not paying $90 or whatever the final value was. But yeah, like I was saying, I saw a post about a LSA group. Yeah, I saw the same post. But like I was saying, there was a post in the SS groups about LSA swaps, and a guy bought a kit, and like it was missing half of the parts. Wrong fuel rail, wrong. I think the only good thing of the whole setup was like the heat exchanger, but it didn't have a reservoir, didn't have lines, didn't have any of that stuff. And like, okay, my prices are a couple years old, but that for that kit being $5,000, I paid $3,200 for my setup. I don't know. Now with the Kong 2650s coming out, I think you guys will start to see the prices of LSAs, ported LSAs, like fall. Like I hope they fall. Just because when those blowers first came out, I picked mine up like 5 years ago. I know it's a long time ago, but when those LSAs first came to market, they were like $400. I bought mine at like $500, and if you go back to my LSA build thread, it should be up to date. The only thing I can't include in that $3,200 was injectors. I basically have a set of 60-pound injectors in the car that I've been running for 4 years, and I had them from the Corvette. So like, how do you justify a cost? I can't include that in the price of the cost because I had it on another car. So that's kind of why my price was so cheap. But yeah, for $5,000, like you could buy a nicer kit that's complete. Or dang near it. I think the sorry guys, I keep getting these spam calls. I don't know if you guys can hear that. I'm about to. Hey Jake, what year's your SS? Sorry, Jacob. Bad about names and shortening. But yeah, depending on Also, the other question would be, what type of forced induction are you planning on going? Obviously, in my shop, we like the root style blowers. It's a 15. Okay. Were you looking at an LSA, a Pro Charger, or an equivalent? I know we had a guy 2 weeks ago with, we had a guy asking about, I'm not sure, he was thinking Pro Charger Turbo. Yeah, for $5,000, I would seriously consider the, I think it's Next Gen Performance and Turbo Joe. I unfortunately know the guy that runs the marketing for stuff. His name's Richard. And I just don't know his affiliation with either one of those companies. I don't know if he's friends. I don't know if he does the marketing stuff, but I see him post all their stuff. And so I don't actually know the people doing the kits. I think it's Next Gen Auto, and they either work with or work for Turbo Joe, or it's one company. I don't know. But yeah, like for $5,000, I think that Next Gen kit's like $6,000, something like that. I honestly would go with the Turbo kit over an LSA for $5,000. So, but yeah, I mean, boost is fun. Just depending on what you want to do with it. If you want something down low and that's kind of a torque monster, LSA is perfectly fine. Kaza, okay, Kaza. I know that name too. I could be wrong about this. There's Kaza, Next Gen, Turbo Joe. I don't know if he works for all three of them. They're all the same company. I don't know. I don't know the. I like how Kaza piping is over the coil packs. Okay. Yeah, you could always move the coil packs. With the LSA stuff, everything moved down. Yeah, the LS3s are pretty high when you buy the LSA, LS9 valve covers. Everything gets pushed down, and that way it makes room for the blowers and stuff. But yeah, if you don't move them and you've got an exhaust pipe or whatever is going right over the coil packs, those can get hot. They can start misperforming, malperforming. That's not a word. Not performing correctly, and you'll have ignition issues. And we were fighting ignition issues on the SS. You guys will see that on Wednesday. I keep saying that. But anyway, yeah, turbo kits are cool. My kind of concern would be stock ECM. I don't know. Turbos are cool because they can do like boost by gear, 2-steps, anti-lag. But for all those controllers and all that, I don't think the stock ECM can handle it. Now, if you're doing it just for, say, under 10 PSI or 12, whatever, I think you'll be fine. But if you're going full race car, you're probably going to want to go with a Holley Dominator or something like that. I was actually just looking into a Holley kit for a CTSV. There's a company out there selling, let's see, makes... Sorry. Pro Charger is it's like a belt-driven turbo, okay? So you're going to have lag. And what I mean by that is, the higher RPM you go, the more power a Pro Charger or centrifugal type blower is going to make more power. LSAs are like instantaneous, and then they're pretty flat, if that makes sense. I don't have a... Well, I can show you this. Okay, I'm going to flip the camera around. All right, so this is a dyno sheet. This is actually a couple years old. I don't think there's a date on it. But anyway, so the torque curve is the flatter shape. This is going to be your horsepower. So this is going to be the horsepower with, this is a TDS 2300. This is from the Corvette, but same thing for an LSA. Your horsepower is going to go up as your RPM goes up, but torque with a LSA is like almost instantaneous. I mean, you're at 1500 RPM, 2000 RPM. Sorry. I'm doing a crappy job of filming and anyway, so like I was saying, so you're at 1500 RPM, your torque goes up to 600 foot-pounds, and then it just kind of levels off. It's pretty flat throughout the RPM. With a Pro Charger, your torque curve is going to look a little bit more like a horsepower curve. It's going to be pretty linear, and your horsepower and torque are both going to go up as the RPMs go up, if that makes sense. With a root style, the horsepower and torque are almost the torque's almost instantaneously, and then it's just going to kind of level off and be the kind of the same. If you guys can see, yes, it's going up, but it's pretty flat. It's not spiking. If that makes sense, like that's kind of what I mean. Is the turbos are the same thing. Is the torque will be growing as your horsepower grows. With the root style blowers, it's kind of like instant torque, and then it just flattens off. So I saw a couple comments in there. Let me scroll back. Sorry, guys. Yeah, and you can't just manually downshift it to get in higher RPMs. You could if you're doing a highway pull. I think I'd like it to be linear power. It might be easier to hook. It doesn't matter what kind of supercharger, turbo, whatever you have. Hooking is an issue. If we're talking about, Jake, you have an SS. Okay, so the SS in particular has an independent rear axle. So you're going to need modifications there if you're making, I don't know, say 800 horsepower, 1,000 horsepower. The rear end, A, isn't going to live very long, and B, you're probably going to wheel hop like crazy. So the good thing is, since this is the same chassis as a Camaro, basically, you've got solutions for that. You got 15-inch conversions, you got lower control arms, you got coilovers, you got solid subframe mounts, you've got the ZL1 diff if you want to go crazy. You've got a Camaro diff with all the options for that. The Camaro diff has a solid billet case back housing for it. You've got motor mounts, trans mounts, diff mounts. You've got all kinds of different options, but some people don't like to spend money on one system and not spending it on the other end. So, for me, my car is stock-ish. And what I mean by that is it's a stock LSA, stock pulley, stock cam. Have not touched the engine. Sorry. For 500, that's what I make. I make 560 on the SS, and I haven't broken anything. But then again, I'm not drag racing my car every weekend. I know some people. Angelo, yeah, this is Jake. Then you should be fine. If your goal is only like sub 600, I think you'd be fine with an LSA and a pulley, and you should be great. And I haven't touched anything on the rear end. I haven't bought any of those parts I was telling you about. Now my Corvette, yeah, I've bought as much stuff as I can because that car is now making 700 or over 700 horsepower, and I think 675 torque. So, but Angelo, if you want to make that horsepower, you can do it. Just look at the channel. Lids, intake, ported blower, throttle body pulleys, E85, fuel pumps. Yeah, this stuff gets expensive as soon as you start making a lot of power. But what else we got? Oh, daily driver. Yeah, Jake, you should be fine. If you do a bolt-on LSA, I mean, with headers and a pulley, I mean, you should be making 600 wheel. And if all you're doing is daily driving it, you shouldn't have any problem. And you don't have to go crazy with methanol or anything like that. The stock fuel pump will hold a certain amount of power. I think on a stock fuel pump, you can get away with a pulley, like one size smaller pulley, headers, and an intake, and you should be good. I just have bigger injectors in stock ZL. I call it ZL1 fuel pump, but it's the same fuel pump as what's in a ZL1. you just run into tuning issues with it. There's a fuel fuel pump computer module FPCM. Dave Steck has a really good post about this. Not a lot of tuners know how to tune using that item. I know Dave Steck, DSX Tuning, sold a basically unlocked fuel pressure control module. I'm sorry, I don't know if it's fuel pump control or fuel pressure control module, FPCM, whatever the heck that stands for. And they basically unlock it and you can start messing with it in HP tuners. Not all tuners know about that subsystem. A lot of tuners just are trying to tune on basically the stock ECM and not going into another computer, because I think that requires another credit. That's the crap thing about these cars is I think the new ZL1, sorry, the C7 ZR1, now that it's old, that car is $2,500 in just unlocking credits to tune it. That's not the tune. That's just because there's like 20 computers in the damn thing. So yeah, yeah. If you're going the DSX auxiliary pump, you should be fine. I've looked into that. I had a setup like that on my Corvette, but unfortunately my Corvette is old, so it doesn't have the FPCM, and therefore DSX doesn't offer an external kit for it. He does offer an external kit for the C601 because GM decided in their infinite wisdom to add all that hardware just to the ZL1 model on the C6. So but yeah, and I see shops using the DSX kits all the time, so you shouldn't have any problems with it. There was a fellow on here in the last live stream that I kind of recommended to add a like LED warning light just to make sure, and I think he's going to wire it into the interior just so that way he knows that when the pump's on, it's glowing, and when it's not on, it's not glowing. That way you just know you're like not going down the highway full send and that pump dies. Sorry. Yeah, it's just a monitor. So that way you know the fuel pump control module is working. I basically have a Hob switch activated external fuel pump on the Corvette. It's actually twin. There's two Holley fuel pumps, and I think the Hob switches are 4 psi and 8 psi, something like that. And anyway, I basically have plenty of fuel on the Corvette. And here's why I recommend adding that warning light. I sent my car over there with my past fuel system. The fuel pump, the hop switch died, and I had no idea. So I'm like doing pulls down in Mexico, and yeah, and I didn't have my secondary fuel pump wasn't even turning on because the hop switch died. So I would suggest a warning LED, not a warning, just a activate LED to make sure your stuff's running. So I apologize for the water heater. I don't know what's dishwasher or something's running, but anyway, yeah. So warning light on external fuel pump is cool, or would be a good thing to add. What else we got? Hey Angelo, on your E-Force, did you add headers to that with the tune? I think you had a tune, the E-Force, and headers, something like that. I know you were looking into that. All right, what else going on? Yeah, Jake, you should be fine with an LSA. We've been talking about that. All right. Pro Charger makes less power low end. Yeah, we talked about that. Hey Dan, are you in Illinois? I don't know where Casa Performance is. I could be screwing that up. Not sure who's all still online here. Yeah, a lot A lot of comments tonight. Well, that's good. Gives us more interaction with you guys. All right, so that was Jake. What time is it? 9:06. Okay. Oh. Sorry, guys. I don't know if that disconnected us or not. A text message popped up and I clicked on it and it says, "You are no longer live." I'm like, whoa. Anyway, what else we got going on? Truck stuff. Yeah, I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of insight. The Corvette videos. When I saw your exhaust setup on the SS, it was full cooks. Oh, Angelo has cooks. Gotcha. Yeah, your car's gotta be super loud, Angelo. I know when I added boost to my Cooks and Corsa setup, it went super loud. All right, Jake, I have Cooks headers and I have the Corsa Pontiac G8 kit. You know, this car is the same thing as a G8. There's subtle differences underneath, but the G8 catback works on the stock exhaust system. Now, I've had my car for so long, I've had it for 6 years. I bought the catback first. I did the headers when I did the blower like 2 years later. So I have a G8 catback kit. The only thing I had to do was, excuse me, the only thing I had to do on the G8 catback kit was I had to go buy two uh, oil pan bolts, put those in, and basically what happened is the G8 and the SS have different oxygen sensor locations. I think the SS they're further up and the G8 they're further back, so the G8 kit won't work. Nice. Well, that should be pretty cool, Angelo. But yeah, so the G8 Corsa kit works on an SS, but as soon as you go to headers, that's where it stops working. Basically, the Cook's headers are 3 inches shorter than the G8 Cook's headers. I don't know why they did that. I know the SS has an extra oil cooler. It's Corvette Camaro style. The G8 never had that, but I don't know how like an extra bend, like going around the oil cooler, made the whole system 3 inches shorter. So I had to go buy the Pontiac G8 Cooks to Corsa connection pipes. They sell this. I bought the non-catted version because since we were 3 inches short, I actually added a catalytic converter on both sides, one on driver's side and passenger side. And I basically made that my adapter and I just welded it up and I haven't had an issue with it in 3 years. Well, the course has been on there for like 5 years, but like 3+ years with the headers and boost. So Cook's long tubes, G8 to Cook's. I'm sorry, yeah, Chevy SS Cook's headers, G8 to Corsa. No, I'm sorry, Pontiac G8 Cooks to Corsa connectors, aftermarket cats, and then the G8 cat system. I will say this: if you buy the Cook's exhaust system, the full exhaust. I've put on that system once on my if you look back on the channel, there's a Chevy SS, a blue one that we did that whole exhaust system install on. And he went from, so Brett he's a friend of mine. We did Cook's long tube headers, the Cook's catback to the factory mufflers. It worked fine. I've seen issues in various spots with that. I've seen Cooks mislabel the pipes, like you've got to flip them. It's kind of a pain. I saw something where something was manufactured wrong, and they were making you have to buy like another exhaust piece for like $300. So I don't know. I don't have that problem. Like I said, I've got the Corsa set up. I've got Corsa on the Corvette, and I actually have a little bit of Corsa on the truck. So I obviously have a kind of a Cook's Corsa. Those are my preferred guys. ARH makes headers. Stainless Works makes headers. I don't see many people. Besides stock. Yeah, that's exactly what we installed. So it was Cook's long tubes, catless mid pipes, and then, like I said, the factory axle back. If that's was it factory? Yeah, it's axle back. It's basically between the wheel and the exhaust tip. That's all. That's the only piece of factory you keep. It sounds good. It gets super loud, which is kind of a good thing. Um, okay, Cook's axle backs. You've got a 15. So do you have the bimodal muffler? I don't like too raspy. Okay. Okay. That makes sense. Um I I can't remember. No, only 16. It's okay. Okay, thank you. I'm like, so I basically had the same mufflers that you did on my 14. And those things sucked. Like that was the first mod I did to the car besides wheels was buying another G8 that Corsa catback, and it sounds so much better because basically the car sounds like a hybrid, with the stock exhaust. Like it's not loud at all. Even gunning it, you're like, is this thing on? Yeah, so exactly. So, but you shouldn't have a problem with the Cooks. I don't see many people. You know what you might be able to find. You might be able to find a 16 or 17 set of mufflers and basically add in a switch to open them up. How do I say this? There were a couple kits out there. It's been a few years since I literally think someone made a kit for about 6 months and they stopped making it. Then I think another guy made another kit for a couple months and then they stopped making it. So if you can figure out a way to activate the mufflers, I think they're electronic. I don't think they're vacuum. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're electronic. So I know there was a guy that posted something a real long time ago about just adding a switch in the interior, running a wire to it, and turning them on, turning them off. You won't have any of the stock, like the vacuum-based mufflers on the Corvettes. They call it the NPP exhaust. It was an option for the Z06, or it was stock on the Z06 ZR1. I think the Grand Sport was an option. The base was the Grand Sport. Was there a Stingray? No, Stingray C7. But anyway, the Corvette stuff was all vacuum based, so you could add an aftermarket muffler or aftermarket controller and control that. Unfortunately, I don't think that stuff will work on the SS because it's all electronic. I could be wrong, but pretty sure it's electronic. But yeah, like I was saying, the 16 and 17, the Corvette, Camaro, the CTS-V. I'm not sure about the CTS-V. That's the one I don't really know about. But anyway, they're all stock and they open up at like 2,000 or 3,000 RPM, if that's the model that you have. And yeah, so. But you've got 15. Maybe you don't want to do all that work with finding mufflers, trying to find a controller or whatever. The Cooks, I agree with you. I have not seen a video. It's basically the setup that we've been talking about. Everyone basically ties into the stock 16 and 17 muffler, and that's it. You don't see people buy the actual muffler. So I would hope if you're buying their whole exhaust kit that it fits. Okay. Yeah, like if you're buying headers, the mid pipe, the axle back, catless. I don't think. How do I say this? If you see the catted version, the catless will be slightly louder, slightly more raspier. That's really the only difference. Oh, then you got the byproduct of it smelling like crap. It's kind of what you get. That's really the only difference you're going to hear on a catted versus uncatted. Is it'll be a little bit louder, and a little bit raspier. I mean, that's kind of where do you live, Jake? Like, do you have emissions? Do you have, because I live in North Carolina and I have to have all that stuff. So, unfortunately, I live next to there's only, so my state has 100 counties. There's only 2 population center, Florida. Oh, by the Catless. You live in Florida. I don't think they even do inspections down there. But like I was saying, I live in proximity to one of the population centers in North Carolina. So unfortunately, I have emissions. If I lived 5 minutes north, all right, cool. Thank you, Angelo. It's Corvette setup could be a little bit different, but basically all LSs sound the same. It's just kind of how many feet of exhaust pipe do you have? You know, the Corvettes are shorter, so they're a little bit louder. Mm. But yeah, so I have emissions. I have to have cats. Um, and I really, both the Corvette and the SS have cats on them. You know, they're not stock. I have the Cook's Green. Was it green? I don't remember. I bought the Cook's branded catalytic converters on the Corvette. The SS ones I bought on eBay. I think they were just like some stainless steel, high flow, universal type catalytic converter. Welded them in, and I haven't had any problem with them. They pass the emissions. Yeah, they'll fail. But I think that's a little bit of a urban legend. I don't think it's going to ruin an engine. Will it make it run like crap? Yeah, I would fully agree with that. But ruining an engine, you would literally have to melt both cats. Like if you're on a 2-step for 5 minutes with race fuel, and we're being hypothetical here. Say like 5 minutes on a 2-step, you know, hooting around like an idiot. Then you might melt a cat. Um, in drag racing, dyno pulls, being a you know, going to Mexico, I've never had an issue with cats in supercharged cars. I mean, to be honest, CTSV, Camaro, ZL1, Corvette ZL1 or ZR1, sorry, all have cats. All have plenty of cats, and you know they're still making 600, well, 600 horsepower at the crank, which, you know, I think I saw a ZR1 putting down like 500 wheel. No, that's not. It was something like that. It was like a C601. Made like, you know what? There's a drivetrain loss here, but those cars are still rated at 600 horsepower, and they're good for 100,000 miles on the cats. I think that's what the warranty is, and you know, you should not have an issue running aftermarket cats or any cats on a boosted setup. Hell, the GTRs have cats. You know what I mean? Like that stuff comes stock. And I guess the moral of my story is I'm running E85. I go drag racing. I burnouts, driving dyno. Pretty much everything you do on a car I've done, and I've never melted a cat. I'm not saying that won't happen, you know, knock on wood, but I haven't had an issue in 5+ years of supercharge on the Corvette and 4 years on the SS. So I just don't think that's something you should be worried about. And to be honest, you didn't hear this from me. If it plugs up, get a long screwdriver and a hammer. What you do with that, I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to recommend because I don't need a fine. But those are two tools that you could use to fix something. So, but anyway, because I see the EPA going after just companies like diesel tune. They've been real bad about diesels the last couple of years, and for the risk of EPA fines and stuff like that, I just recommend running a. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Angelo. Um, Yeah, I have the same H pipe that you have. I've got the catted version, and like I said, it's just not something. This is gonna sound kind of weird, but I don't think you'll be pulled over for not running a cat. But that's just one of those things. It's like for it's not for me personally. It's not worth not running one and getting fined. All that crap. And even though you've never heard about people getting in trouble, it's just not a risk worth taking. If you know what I mean. It's a part people offer them. So just in my opinion, just buy it. But hey, we all have opinions, and if you disagree, that's fine. I just don't think it's just not something worth getting in trouble for, if that makes sense. So, beyond that, cars are good. What else going on? Shop updates. We did a video recently. There's crap over there now, so I actually won't show you that corner. Yeah, what else going on? Yeah, I think that's about it. I don't know. Do you guys have any other questions before we wrap it up tonight? I know we've been talking about, man, all kinds of different stuff. Blowers, exhaust, racing, the world, current events, if that's a good topic. But anyway, if you guys have any other questions, let's feel free to ask. So I think, wow, we're already over an hour, so we can wrap this up. But yeah, I hope everything gets better, as we say. I hope the what's funny. Anyway, all right. Well, I'll just do a quick closing message. I hope you guys enjoy these topics. We've had 5 or 6 of these, I think we've done, and I hope it's brought some of you guys entertainment. And I hope you guys enjoy my babbling for an hour. I think the last one we did was like an hour and a half long, which is kind of crazy. But anyway, I hope you guys are enjoying the content. I'm glad that we haven't been impacted much by the channel hasn't been impacted by not having content. I will say this, man, shipping is freaking slow. I have been waiting on parts for weeks. I don't buy on Amazon anymore. I've been buying everything on eBay because since when is eBay quicker than Amazon? But I've been buying stuff on eBay, and we're waiting on parts now to finish a couple projects. I've started them, but shipping's taking forever, and so hopefully we should have enough content for you guys. You guys won't notice a disruption, but I've definitely had a disruption on my production of videos because we're just waiting on parts and stuff not getting produced. So, but anyway, on that note, I hope you guys have enjoyed all the content. We've switched it up the last like month and a half with SS content, something like that. And we'll get back to the Corvette. The truck, guys, I was going to do some truck stuff, but I don't know. That stuff just might have to wait until the Corvette is done. It's just kind of the way it is. Unfortunately, the truck videos are the most popular ones that I make. Well, but it makes sense. There's millions and millions of the GMT 800s were made, and there was, 10,000 SSs, and over the course of the C6, thank you, Angelo, and the course of the C6, they made like 10,000 a year, 10 to 30,000 a year. So, my audience, I would hope, is Corvette stuff. But honestly, in the numbers, the truck videos just do way better. I just don't have any updates on it. It's a good daily driver. Haven't had many problems. So we did a bunch of upgrades a couple years ago, but it is what it is. But all right, guys, it's been over an hour. Thank you for joining in, and we'll do this again soon. It may not be this following week. I've got a week. I've got a work coming up. I've got a work weekend coming up. And then it's a holiday, I think. So it might be 2 or 3 weeks until we do the next one of these, if it's going to be on a Saturday. So, all right, guys, have a great one and have a great weekend.